celebrates her name day. So many years to all of you who celebrate today. One thing reminded me, I wanted to share this with you. So in one of the last prayers that we read, it's called the prayer behind the ambon, which we read facing Christ there. It says, "Sanctify those who love the beauty of your house. Glorify them in return by your divine power, and forsake us not who have set our hope in you. Sanctify those who love the beauty of your house, and glorify them in return by your divine power." What a blessing. I would think we would want to acquire this blessing for ourselves. So those who love the beauty of your house. What's his house? The church. So I say this because starting on Monday through Thursday next week, the company that restored the original floors that we have here will come again and be working on the altar area through a generous donation again. And I actually heard someone question, why would we do this? Why would we spend money on this? And I'm not very good sometimes about explaining things that to me are obvious, but I should explain. So if you come in the church, this beautiful cathedral we have that's the center of Orthodoxy here in Alabama, if you go in the corners in the back there, you'll see cracks in the floor that are as long as I can stretch my arms. Cracks in the floor. When you see the floors here and the way this was before it was restored and the altar as it is now, what's happened is over the last 70 plus years, dirt and filth has become trapped on the floor and then covered and sealed in by wax. So we actually are standing on and preserving filth and dirt on our floor. So obviously, we don't want to do that. So if I come into my house and I have big cracks in the floor, and I have not only dirt and filth on my floor, but I've preserved them in wax on my floor, I would not settle for that. I would not settle for that in my house. And I dare say I don't think anyone here in our congregation would settle for that in their house, having filth and dirt on the floor and cracks in the floor. Our homes, the Lord gives us our homes so that we can invite people in. So not only for myself would I not have filth and dirt on the floor and cracks in the floor, but especially for my visitors. I wouldn't invite someone into my house like that. And that's talking about my house, a lowly human being. So why then would we do that for God's house that God has put us in charge of maintaining? Why would we not instead have this mind of those who love the beauty of your house so that God can sanctify us and glorify us in return by his divine power? So if I wouldn't accept these conditions for my own lowly, humble house, why on earth would I accept it for the King of the universe's house? I hope that makes sense, right? So I assume that all of you agree with this logic, that we would not do that. And so when we see it, we would obviously fix it if it's in our power. So in answer to someone's question why we would waste money on that, this is why we would waste money on that, because it's not acceptable to have 6-foot cracks in the house of God, nor is it acceptable to have dirt on the floor of the house of God. Not only for us, not only for God, but for those we're inviting into his house, because that is the mission God has gave us, right? To invite people into his house. And I wouldn't invite someone into my house with those conditions, so why would I do it with the house of God, right? So this is the why. This is the why we're doing that. It's a little bit inconvenient, but we've had some generous donors who have covered these things. Hasn't cost any of us a dime. And we're beautifying and glorifying the house of God. And I really believe that these blessings that we read every divine liturgy are coming upon those people who have made these generous donations to beautify God's house. So that's why we're doing these things. So I hope that makes sense and that I'm a little bit more transparent why we do things. But I thank you all for being here and for loving God, loving his saints, and loving the beauty of his house. And I thank you all for being a part of our family, our spiritual family here. And I encourage all of you to look at this as your home. Your home, our Father's home. God is our Father. He invites us into his home so that he can bless us, so that he can feed us, right? So we should all want to share this mentality of loving the beauty of his house. Amen. So God bless you all. Chronio pola, kipali, and I'll bring now the Antidoron.